Brighton Hove Albion 1, Manchester City 1, and it feels like ages since I've seen it saying this, but Man City have actually dropped points. I mean, it doesn't really matter because the league's over. This was very much a glorified friendly in many respects, but still a very entertaining game. I have to say, two very good footballing sides. I think a lot of people that would have watched Brighton already this season would have assumed this already, to be fair, because Brighton are a really good football team. They've proven it time and time again this season. I mean, they've gone to Emirates, they've won 3-0. If that doesn't prove you're a good footballing team, I don't know what does. And they put in a really good match against Man City today. I'm not going to sit here and say it was Man City's strongest 11. I'm not going to sit here and say Pep Guardiola played all his stars. I mean, he was missing players like, for example, Ake, Akanji, Ruben Diaz, Laporte, etc. It was a very much changed back four, especially. But still, a very, very good performance from Brighton. And De Zerbi's a top manager. He's proved it again and again this season. And look, I think the stat came up that said Brighton had the most shots against Man City that any team have had in 2023. Like, they were creating chances, and it was really good stuff. Fluid football from defense to attack, exciting football as well, because I don't say that often. I've always said, like, to beat Man City, you do have to play a different sort of edge to you. You do have to play a sort of system where it is quite defensive, a bit dogged, a bit, or the dark arts in football. Brighton didn't really do that. They actually went toe-to-toe with Man City in a footballing sense. And they were brave. And they got rewarded with the point today because there were times when Man City were playing out the back. And look, it was a much changed Man City back four. I think they would have been more confident with the ball at the back if it had been, for example, Ruben Diaz, Laporte, Akanji, etc. I mean, Bernardo Silva, Rico Lewis were filling out the back four today alongside Carl Walker and John Stones. So playing out the back, it was looking a bit shaky, especially with Ortega in goal as well. And Brighton were brave. They went and pressed them. They knew that they could be played out the back, Man City, but regardless, they went to press the ball and they got their rewards because they got some really good goals off it. Encisco, what a goal, man. First of all, let's talk about this Brighton team, by the way. You got Encisco, however you pronounce his name, Buenanotte, teenagers, Evan Ferguson, a teenager. Like, where do they get these kids from? Where do they spawn these talents from? It's unbelievable. They've got some of the best academy and scouting networks in world football. Genuinely, it is top tier from Brighton. I have so much respect for them. I mean, they might lose Caicedo and McAllister, arguably their two best midfielders. And I wouldn't lose sleep at night because you've got two more coming straight up through the ranks. I back them to sign another couple in the summer as well. That'll be really good. So genuinely, really well-run football club. Like, they're turning a profit. They're going to make Europe now, the Europa League, I believe. Brilliant job by Brighton, man. De Zerbi as well deserves this flower. True, going to appreciate you on the stream as always, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Big respect for De Zerbi, 100%, man. Massive respect to that man. For me, one of the most underrated managers in world football. He's so good. Like, genuinely, he could take any job in world football. I'm not even being reactionary based off this season. Like, I've seen enough from him to know that. I like the way he holds himself as a man. I like the way that he sets up his team. Like, that's a Brighton team that's sustainable. That's not him getting results playing a dogged, pragmatic style of football, defending deep and launching counterattacks. That's De Zerbi getting results with 60% possession. That's De Zerbi getting results playing teams off the park, going to Emirates and playing Arsenal off the pitch. Like, Arsenal aren't even a football team. That is a De Zerbi that is getting results for Brighton. He's a top manager, man. Genuinely so good. And look, I think Mikel Arteta is a brilliant manager. I think Arteta's done a brilliant job at Arsenal. It took Mikel Arteta 3 years to implement a football style into Arsenal where we actually started playing really good football. It's taken De Zerbi like 2 months. It's taken De Zerbi 2 months to get this team to start playing really good football. Like, they're cooking, man. Like, I would happily watch a Brighton and Hove Albion game. Happily. They're genuinely so nice to watch. They're pleasing on the eye. They get results. It's a brilliant combination there. And De Zerbi is cooking up a storm in that Brighton team. They got to make sure they keep hold of him, man. That is their biggest asset. I spoke about how Mitoma, Evan Ferguson, Caicedo, McAllister are Brighton's biggest assets. Their manager is their biggest asset, Roberto De Zerbi, because there'll be a lot of top clubs sniffing around for his signature. You got to make sure you keep hold of him, man. You have to if you're Brighton Hove Albion. Let's see if they do. Your brother, I appreciate you on the stream, Jordan. I hope you're well. That Brighton got the Paraguayan is a baller. Yeah, Encisco, how do you pronounce his name? What a goal, by the way. It's as similar to the one he scored against Chelsea. Like, that man's got a rocket in him. And players that have that, it's dangerous because you know you have to guard them from outside the box. And the way he hit that strike, genuinely, it was so clean. Like, I think if he walked up and tried to throw the ball into the net, he wouldn't even have placed it much better. Genuinely, that was a brilliant strike. He knuckled a little bit as well. It wasn't even a finesse. It was a pure knuckle as well. Brilliant strike from Encisco, man. Top goal from a top player. And he's proven once again what a brilliant talent he is and what a good job Brighton have done to scout players like him, man. Like Estupinian as well, what a signing. Caicedo, man. I know he's already been around the league already, but what a signing he is as well. Ecuadorian, man. Top players that Brighton are bringing in. No one's heard them before, but they've heard them now. And that's how you run a proper football club, man. Like, genuinely. If you're a team like Brighton that knows you haven't got the funds, you haven't got the big name, you're not the star, you're not the franchise that Manchester United are, Man City potentially will be, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, etc. You know you're never going to be that. But what you can do is you can sign good players and nurture and trust them, and you can get a team out of that, man. And they're proving it. They're proving it time and time again. It's a brilliantly run football club. Players go to Brighton, they get opportunities. They don't just sit on the bench. They don't just sit in reserves, training, but never even dream of reaching the pitch. At Brighton, there's a pipeline, there's a process to get onto that football pitch. It doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, Buonanotte is 18 years old, and he's starting for Brighton, doing brilliantly as well. Encisco's a teenager as well. Evan Ferguson's a teenager. Like, he's a real good player stepping up in key moments for Brighton, man. So like I said, Caicedo, a brilliant player. Alexis McAllister, brilliant players. They won't want to lose them, but if they do, no sweat off their back, man, because they've got plenty of players in reserves, and I back Brighton to make some really good signings in the summer as well. But here's the thing with Brighton, right? I think their players are brilliant. Genuinely, I think it is. I think they just can't keep selling their assets time and time again, right? Because it's one thing selling a player for the right amount of money. Any club will do that in world football. But if you keep selling players, if you keep becoming a quote-unquote feeder club, your reputation gets tarnished a little bit. And look, Brighton don't have a reputation as a big club to begin with, let's not lie. But they're trying to build that. Bit by bit, every club in the world is trying to increase in reputation, trying to increase in stature in the world of football. And for Brighton to do that, they need to keep hold of their assets. You can't be respected in football if players just move to you, have a good season, then they want to move on to bigger and better things. So if you're Brighton Hove Albion, you've got to find a way to keep hold of the top players, man. McAllister, Caicedo, etc. You've got Europa League. Maybe that can keep them happy. I'm not too sure because I expect Arsenal, Liverpool, teams like that to go in for Caicedo. Arsenal got Champions League football to offer. Liverpool, of course, also got Europa League to offer, but they're a bigger club than Brighton, etc. But let's see. McAllister's already on his way to Brighton, I expect. So who knows, man? Who knows? But if you're Brighton, you've got to try and keep hold of these top assets, Mitoma, Ferguson, etc. Because you can build a solid team around them, man. The manager's there, the system's there. Brighton are going to get better and better next season. And look, who knows, man? They could make a top 4 run next season. Welcome Alexis McAllister to your new club, Liverpool. It seems that way. But look, anything can happen. The transfer market isn't open yet. But yeah, it seems like Alexis McAllister is going to go to Liverpool. And for me, I think that's a really good signing for Liverpool. Really good signing. He's a top player, McAllister, man. He's won the World Cup. Look, he's very underrated in the sense that he's won the World Cup for Argentina. No player that wins the World Cup starting games is underrated, in my opinion. Genuinely, that's such a his box-to-box ability is also so underrated in football. Not enough players possess that trait. So I think McAllister will be a brilliant signing for Liverpool. We know it's no what's it called? It's no surprise. It's not rocket science that Liverpool need to address their midfield. It's the glaring weakness in that squad. And McAllister's a massive part of that. He's not the only signing they need to make, but he's one of the big signings. But like I also said, look, if Brighton lose McAllister, so be it, man. They've got Encisco in the ranks. They've got players like Buonanotte in the ranks. I back them to sign a couple quality players as well. They've got João Pedro coming through. James Milner, he'll provide some minutes. So genuinely, no sweat off your back, man, if you're Brighton. Big up De Zerbi, 100%, man. Top manager. Arguably manager of the season for me. Done a brilliant job. He beat Real Madrid with Shakhtar, by the way. Yes, he did. I remember. And also, did a brilliant job as well at Sassuolo. So, yeah. Look, De Zerbi, underrated manager. Like I said, I rate Mikel Arteta highly. I'm an Arsenal fan myself. But it took Mikel Arteta 3 years to get Arsenal team playing good football. It's taken De Zerbi 2 months. Like, I thought Graham Potter did a brilliant job at Brighton. And evidently he did. I'm not taking anything away from him. But De Zerbi showed levels here. Like, De Zerbi's gone from a decent Brighton side to a really good Brighton side. A Brighton side that would give any team a hard time. They've beaten Arsenal 3-0. They've drawn 1-1 to Man City here. That is getting results against the best teams in world football. That is getting results against top teams. Not just getting results against them, playing well against them. Like, providing a threat. That's not just sitting back and trying to counterattack. That's going for the throat and trying to attack them and taking the game to the opponents and making it a tough, grueling match. Like, Man City came off this pitch, and don't get me wrong, of course they weren't playing for anything. They'd already won the Premier League. They're just counting down the games until they get to the FA Cup and Champions League final. But still, the Man City players will come off that pitch with a brand new respect for Brighton, because that was a tough game, man. Genuinely, a very tough game for that football club. Fun match to watch, particularly first off. I agree, Jeff, 100%. Look, I went into that game a bit tentative because I was really looking forward to it. Brighton versus Man City, 2 really good teams in my opinion. I've watched a lot of Brighton this season. Anyone that hasn't would have seen in today's game what a good side Brighton are. They really use the pitch well. I like teams that manipulate the pitch in terms of the sense that a lot of teams, right, look how massive a football pitch is. They just lump the ball up the pitch. Like, Brighton utilize the space as well. When one player goes forward, the other one drops back. There's triangles throughout the team. They build up from the back. It's no coincidence. I always say, right, a sign of a really good team is one that can build out of the back. I'm pretty sure any team in world football, any player in world football, they're professional for a reason. If you give them time and space on the ball, they'll be able to cook. They'll be able to pass. Xavi and Iniesta, brilliant footballers. Look, I'm not a professional footballer, but if you don't press me, I can pass the ball left and right all day, every day. The real good football teams are how they play under pressure, and that involves playing out of the back. Brighton play really well under pressure, man. They know how to play the triangles, know how to manipulate the ball quickly. Every pass has got purpose to it. So they're a really good side, man. So I was looking forward to this game. Obviously, it was a bit of a shame that neither side was really fighting for anything. Brighton already secured Europe for the first time in their history. Congratulations to them for that. Brilliant job, by the way. And of course, Man City have completed the treble. They're just counting down the games until they get to the FA Cup and Champions League final. So it wasn't really much at stake, but regardless, a really good match, man. Really good quality match. And next season, I think this will be a really good matchup as well. I would have loved for it to be Brighton, Man City in the FA Cup final, but look, Manchester United got to be the team to hopefully stop Man City winning the treble. Dennis Brody support Juventus? No, I don't. I support Arsenal. I just like collecting football shirts from teams abroad. So I've got an AC Milan shirt, Napoli shirt on the way, Inter Milan shirt on the way. So yeah, I don't support Juventus. I support Arsenal. If Brighton could give City that much trouble, just imagine what Everton could do. Everton sliced Brighton to ribbons. Well, here's the thing, right? Consistency is a problem. Any team on their day can have a brilliant performance. Look, Forest beat Arsenal 1-0. Arsenal clearly a better football team than Forest. The thing is consistency, and it's not getting complacent. Look, the reason Man City have had a brand new respect from me, the reason Pep Guardiola gets so much respect from me is because they've won the treble. That's given that extra margin. And the reason is, right, because mental fatigue is a big thing in football. Any team on their day, any player on their day can score a brilliant goal. Look, Encisco scored a worldie outside the box. He did the same thing against Chelsea. No one's calling him the best long shot striker of all time because he needs to do it consistently. That's the whole point. Brighton, brilliant in certain days. Against Arsenal, fantastic. Today, again, fantastic. But equally, they've had stinker days. Like Everton at home, you should never be losing that game in your life, let alone 5-1. Do you get what I mean? So if it's Brighton, you've got to build consistency. The reason I respect Pep Guardiola at Man City so much is because they've built a consistency at that football club. They don't get complacent. It's never enough for them. And that's so difficult to do in football. Look, when you've won the Premier League so many times, it's difficult to have that same ambition, that same determination, that same drive to do it again. It's like completing a video game and trying to complete it again. Yes, you've got the quality to complete it again. You've already completed it the first time. But have you got that same drive in you? Have you got that extra yard in you to complete it one more time? And that's Man City. Look, I thought for the majority of the season they were sleepwalking. I watched a lot of Man City this season. I've covered a lot of them this season alongside every other football club in the Premier League. And they were sleepwalking for the majority of the season. I came out and I said that. I said, what is this Man City team playing at? I mean, Bernardo Silva's playing left back. Rico Lewis is playing left back. Cancelo got shipped out. De Bruyne can't get into the team. Even Haaland, it looks a little bit off. Like he's making runs, but they're not feeding him. It wasn't quite working at Man City. The glue wasn't quite in place. But ever since Nottingham Forest game, ever since the Chargers came out, the squad's been galvanized. And since then, Man City have hit a brand new dimension. And I've come out and say that it's the best Man City team I've seen in my lifetime. And if they've got longevity on their side, they can compete with the Barcelona team under Pep Guardiola from 2008 to 2011/2012. It is genuinely that good. So that is the respect that comes from Man City, the quality to perform week in, week out. I mean, Brighton was only the first team to get a point against Man City since Nottingham Forest at the start of March. It just goes to show you what consistency does, man. Like when you become such a brilliant team, such a dogged team, that even getting a point against Man City is cheered by your team. Do you get what I mean? So that's the level you need to reach. So Brighton a million miles away from that. If Arsenal a million miles away from it, so are Brighton. But that's got to be the level that you get to. That's got to be the stature of a club that's going to win the Premier League year in, year out. And look, that's the levels. And if you match it, you match it. Every club's got to strive to get that level. And Man City, for them, they can't fall off. They can't get complacent, man. You've got to keep at the top of your ability. That's the main thing. Let's see what they're doing because they've got two massive finals left in the FA Cup and Champions League. If they win the treble, let's see what happens, man. Let's see, because that club will go. Well, I mean, this season will go down as one of the greatest seasons of all time from any club in world football, genuinely in any era. Because for them to win the treble will be ridiculous, man. They'd match Manchester United's time in '99, and for me, it's tangible. Like genuinely, I've never felt it be so realistic as it has now. I've always spoken about the treble as just like some kind of fugazi, just like a thing that doesn't really, it doesn't really happen. It's like a unicorn. Everyone knows it exists, but it doesn't really happen. But the treble genuinely is on the cards right now. Genuinely it is. Manchester United did it in '99. Can Man City repeat it? Let's see. The squad's good enough to do it. The quality, the momentum is there. Let's see if they do it, man. Everton, the club I want to go down, so I hate that they got 3 points from those Brighton. Well, look, that's the thing. Everton would have looked at that Brighton game and gone, wow, because they would not have expected anything from that game. A draw probably would have been a good result. The fact they got 3 points from that game has basically put them in pole position to survive in the Premier League this season. I mean, you've got Leeds United potentially going down. You've got Leicester City potentially going down. Everton could survive based off their result against Brighton, which is crazy to think, given how good Brighton are. They picked up levels, especially this back end of the season. They've been so good under Roberto De Zerbi. The question is, what is Brighton's ambition next season, man? Because they've got Europa League, I believe. What do they fight for next season? For me, if you're Brighton, right, you got to make some good signings in the summer. They've started early. João Pedro's coming to the door. Milner's coming. I don't expect Milner to get many minutes on the pitch, but he's more of a locker room presence, a bit of experience in the team. I don't hate the signing one bit. Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund. He obviously hasn't played his best football there, but I still think he can be a good player and he could really fit the Brighton system. They've got some other players they need to bring back from loan, etc. Let's see what happens in terms of departures. Does Caicedo leave? Does McAllister leave? I'm not too sure. But if you can withhold some of your assets, if you can sign some good players again in the summer, some real top talents, there's no reason Brighton can't have a good season. Look, this Brighton team's got quality, man. This isn't a team that's fluked their way into the 6th position or 5th position. This isn't a Brighton team that's played pragmatic style of football that won't really do well in Europe. This is a Brighton team that's taking the game to the opposition. This is a Brighton team that's playing brilliant football week in, week out. This is a Brighton team that knows how to play the game. There's a reason Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool are looking at Brighton players because De Zerbi's built a club. He's built a system where his players can slot into any team in world football, man. Any team in world football because they're playing that sort of style that Man City and Arsenal like. They love to see players play the way Brighton play, where it is pass on the back, where it is gegenpressing, where it is utilizing the space well, getting the ball up the pitch quickly. That type of football, man. Like really fast and furious football. Otherwise, if you get a player from Wolves, for example, and no disrespect to Wolves and teams like that, and teams like Nottingham Forest, etc., you bring the player to your club if you're Man City, Arsenal. They got to adapt to a brand new system. They got to go from pragmatic counter-attacking football to possession football where they're dominating games. It's hard to do. Obviously, any player can do it. They're professional for a reason, but it's hard to adapt. When you bring in Caicedo or bring in McAllister, they're used to playing that footballing system. They're used to being a side that likes the football, likes dominating the ball, likes taking the game to the opponent, and they can slot in seamlessly. They've proven that they can play in that system. It's like work experience. It's like Brighton are like a loan team for Man City, Arsenal, etc. Because they see, okay, do they work in the Brighton system? Perfect. They'll work in our system then. And there's no surprise Liverpool looking at McAllister. There's no surprise Arsenal tried to get Caicedo in January because these are players that fit the system. These are top tier players, man. I'm talking talents in world football Brighton have got. Real good talents. And look, if they lose McAllister and Caicedo, like I said, it would be a shame because to build in world football, you have to retain your assets. You have to. Look, Southampton have had brilliant players through their time. They're going to get relegated to the Championship this season. They've had Van Dijk. They've had Sadio Mane through their team. Had players like that. You know what I mean? Like top players, but they kept losing them. You can only get so good if you keep losing your top players because you can only hit the lottery so many times with your scouting network. Do you get what I mean? Like there's an element of luck to it alongside the top quality recruitment and real good scouting. So they got to make sure they keep hold of their assets. Mitoma, Pascal Gross, Evan Ferguson, Caicedo, McAllister. I'm not sure if they will because if you've got teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City sniffing about, doesn't matter how good Brighton are, right? Players' heads will turn because that's a brand new dimension in football. I mean, Brighton are a brilliant team. They've done brilliant under De Zerbi, but you're talking about Arsenal here. You're talking about Liverpool, like top caliber clubs, Manchester United, like clubs that players dream of going to their whole lives, like ever since they've been a young player, or a young fan of football even. So if you're Brighton, you've got to make sure you keep hold of your assets. But one thing's changed from my opinion, right? I always said Caicedo and McAllister were Brighton's biggest assets, Mitoma alongside. But Brighton's actual biggest asset is their manager, Roberto De Zerbi. This man is unbelievable. He could manage any club in England. Promise you. I genuinely promise you. That's not me being reactionary based off these first six months he's been at the club. Because I've watched a lot of Brighton this season. You could easily say, oh, but it could be a one season wonder, etc. Look, potentially. But Roberto De Zerbi is a top manager. He could manage any club in England. Genuinely, I say that. The way that man holds himself, because when I look at a manager, I don't just look at what the results he gets. It's easy to go, oh, he's got Brighton to 6. First time they've got Europe in their history. What a job he's done. But I look more than that. I look at the style of football he plays. I look at the way he holds himself on the touchline. I look at the way he commands himself at press conferences. I like the way he speaks. Like I like to see the aura of the manager, and Roberto De Zerbi possesses everything that a top manager should possess. I love the way he talks about the game. I love the way he understands the game. I love the way he sets up his team. I love the way he rotates the team as well. I love the way he gives certain players chances. Like the youngest team that was the youngest starting 11 probably of all season, man. You got Buonanotte, 18 years old, playing football. Encisco, he doesn't sit there and go, you know what, they're too young. Let's keep them in the under 21s for now. He goes, no, if you're good enough, let's get you into the team. That's a man that's got real cojones in that sense. Like, he's not afraid to play the young players. He's not afraid to get them involved. And I'd love to see that in a manager. And Roberto De Zerbi possesses exactly that. Genuinely, he could walk into any club in world football. Managers and clubs will be sniffing around for him. I already called from 3 months ago. If you're Tottenham Hotspur, look at Roberto De Zerbi. Wherever he goes is a whole nother question, but test the waters, try it, because he's a top manager, man. Real top clubs will be looking at that, man. I promise you that for absolute sure. If Brighton can keep hold of De Zerbi, that's a big part of their puzzle, man. Big part of their puzzle. Then it's also retain your assets as well, right? Because look, certain times you sell players if the money's good enough. I mean, any club in world football would sell their assets if the price is high enough. But another thing is, you don't want to build a reputation of being a selling club, right? Brighton have done brilliantly this season, but you don't want to be labelled a feeder club because it tarnishes your reputation. Brighton have not got the reputation, have not got the stature that Arsenal, Man City even have got, Liverpool have got, Manchester United have got. They just haven't. It's case in point. It's a matter of the fact. But if they want to get to that level, bit by bit, I don't think they'll ever reach Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, because those are historic clubs. But they want to increase their reputation, increase their stature in world football. You have to retain your assets. You can't be labelled a selling club. You can't be labelled a feeder club because then you lose respect amongst the football crowd. Look, Southampton were a seller club for so long. They were brilliant in certain seasons. They got Europe at certain times, right? But they still managed to sell their assets. I mean, Chamberlain was gone, Walcott was gone, Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane, players they brought in or had in their scouting network, had in their academy. They've gone to sell on to do bigger and better things and gone to make a career since then. Højbjerg, another one, etc. But the thing is, right, if Brighton want to reach that new level, they can't keep being a selling club. They got to keep progressing as a football team, man. They got to keep holding their assets and building alongside it. There's only so much you can do, taking 2 steps forward, then 2 steps back. It's all good signing Caicedo, brilliant first season, he's gone. You got to bring another Caicedo in the door. Do you get what I mean? So if you're Brighton, keep hold the assets and build. I really like what Roberto De Zerbi is doing. I love the football they're playing. They're entertaining. And they're a match for any team. Because there's one thing being entertaining, right? But certain teams that are entertaining can be a soft touch. Do you get what I mean? It's a reason why teams out in the championship, right? Like Vincent Kompany's done a brilliant job with Burnley in the championship. Brilliant. They were cleaning up against teams in the championship. Let's see how they do when they get to the Premier League, because it's so easy to adapt your style, because it's so easy beating teams in the championship. Then you go up to the Premier League and it's like a small fish in a big pond, right? Because then you struggle. Because when you play teams in the Premier League, right, suddenly you're not the best footballing team. Suddenly you can't pass all those teams at the back and you revert to a style where it is defending deep and launching on the counter-attack. Brighton don't do that. They take the game to any opponent. They don't care if it's Man City or Brentford or Swansea or I don't even care, Wolves. They will play the same way. They'll play their possession style football. A stat flashed up on the screen showing they've got like 60% possession on average this season. It's a top stat. So they're playing football to their ability. And I always say, right, top football clubs don't adapt their system. Man City don't adapt. They play their way and they let the opponent do the adaptation. If you're a top club, and you don't necessarily have to be a top club, but a team that envisions and regards themselves as a top club, you don't even adapt your system. You play football to your style and let the other team adapt their system. Do you get what I mean? Like Man City are a possession style team, Arsenal a possession style team. They will play that way no matter who their opponent is. They will try and imprint their style on the team. Brighton do the same thing. Other sides like Newcastle, for example, this is no discredit to Newcastle, by the way. I think they've had a brilliant season. And it's one of their strengths I've given under Eddie Howe, right? They adapt. Certain games, they'll come flying out the traps. They'll take the game to the opponent, just like they did against Manchester United at home, Tottenham at home. But equally, Eddie Howe's got in his locker the potential, for example, when they went to the Emirates, to sit back and soak up pressure and basically sit 10 men behind the ball and defend in a low block. Like I said, it's not a discredit to Newcastle whatsoever. They're playing to their strengths. Certain games, they have to play different styles. Brighton don't do that. They will take any game to the opponent. And look, teams that do that, I have the utmost respect for. Brighton could have come to the Emirates and they could have thought, you know what, it's Arsenal. They're probably a better footballing team than us. They're second in the table. We'll sit back and we'll defend. We'll try and hit them on the counter-attack. But no, they went to play football. They matched Arsenal football for football and ended up winning 3-0, and deservedly so. They were the better footballing team. So I have the utmost respect for teams that play in that style. And Brighton do exactly that. And players will love to come to Brighton. They will. Because there's a project growing there, and players can see that. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's seamless. And that's the main thing overall in football, right? Because it's one thing having a brilliant team, it's one thing having a brilliant manager. The ownership is good as well. There's trust throughout, man. It's a trickle-down effect, right? It's top-down system. If there's trust from the top all day for the club, and the fans trust the players, and the fans trust the manager trusts the players trust the manager, etc. The ownership trusts everyone, and vice versa. It's a real good system, and it's a system that can get better in football, man. And that's what I think Brighton do. Look, Brighton are a model for any of the Premier League clubs, man. Any of the Premier League clubs. Look, and even bigger clubs than Brighton. For example, if Tottenham come out and say that they're going to look at the Brighton model to implement themselves, and that's the ego hit for a club like Tottenham, because Tottenham are a bigger club than Brighton, and they always have been. But the fact they've come out and said we want to learn from Brighton, that shows the respect that clubs have got for Brighton. Look, Pep Guardiola came out in his interview, and I'm one to always say that Pep Guardiola is a bit of an interview merchant. He says things for the cameras a little bit, and not necessarily like he does accentuate a lot of facts. For example, he's called Roberto De Zerbi like a Michelin-style chef, which, to be fair, he's a top manager. I say that myself, but he didn't need to go overboard in that sense. He was gloating him a bit too much. But for them to come out, for example, and clubs like Tottenham, etc., to come out and have the utmost respect for Brighton and say, we want to implement your system and learn from you, that means you're going on a good path. That means you're going in the right direction, man. So if you're Brighton, keep at it, man. Keep hold of your assets. If you have to sell, sell. But try to keep hold of your assets and build around the team and build around your youngsters and get them to stay, because their heads will be turned, because clubs will come sniffing. I promise you that. So let's see, man. But if you're Brighton, I love the direction they're going. Absolutely love it. Let's get into some of your comments. Let me know your thoughts on live chat. By the way, if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. If you love football-related content, my next stream will be tomorrow for Manchester United versus Chelsea, with Man United having the opportunity to secure Champions League football with just a point against a struggling Chelsea side. Do you think Arsenal will get 2 to 3 top players this summer? Monsieur Arteta, I'm not too sure, to be honest. Look, this is the thing with Arsenal, right? This is the first time in a long time where we've genuinely had Champions League football under our belt and we can spend money. Because the previous seasons we've had Champions League, had the excuse of we're paying off the stadium. Whether it's true or not, it's been there as an excuse. Will we spend? Who knows? For me, I need Caicedo in the door. Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo. I want 2 top midfielders from Arsenal, right? A top CDM and a top midfielder. The other thing is outgoing is going to be a big thing this summer. Xhaka looks like he's going to Leverkusen for 15 million. So be it. Goodbye. Following Balogun potentially could go as well. If so, I want 30 million at least for him. Thomas Partey. Look, if we bring in Caicedo, I don't mind dropping Thomas Partey, genuinely. I don't mind it one bit. So let's see, man. Let's see. For Arsenal, I think midfielder has to be priority. Let's get 2 midfielders in. I'd like another attacking player to contend with Saka to keep him busy. Just like, no, it doesn't have to be better than Saka, but just someone to like keep him on his toes. Because I think, look at Man City, right? They've got, when Bernardo Silva has a bad game, Riyad Mahrez comes in. Like the competition there means you have to be the best of your ability. Because you know if you're not, you can easily get replaced and then you could be out the team for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. Do you get what I mean? Whereas I feel like Saka, I don't think he's someone to get complacent. I don't think he's someone to fall below his ability by choice. But he knows that if Saka has a bad game, he's going to be the team next week because no one can replace him. Arteta doesn't trust players like Reece Nelson, Emile Smith-Rowe, etc. He will start Saka week in, week out. So I think he needs competition. He needs someone breathing down his neck. Martinelli's got competition, Trossard now. I think Saka needs competition. Same with Jesus. So for me, midfield has to be priority. But if you can bring in an attacking player, I'd love to see it. And if you can bring in a backup centre-back as well, because it can't be the fact that Saliba goes out and our team crumbles around it. That shouldn't be the case. Look, Man City were missing Ake, Akanji, Diaz, and Laporta today. 4 top centre-backs, and somehow they still managed to get a draw against Brighton. And they looked okay defensively. Like, they weren't necessarily comfortable, but they looked okay defensively. It wasn't a car crash performance. So you got to look at it and you got to build a squad. If you want to contend with Man City, right, it's a 38-game season. Haaland summed up perfectly. It's not one game at a time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to have a squad. Your squad will come in use because when you have injuries, you can't fall off the face of the earth. It's not a good enough excuse to go, Arsenal were brilliant, but as soon as Saliba went out, our season capitulated. Not the end of the world. It's just Saliba. But you need to replace Saliba. It can't be the case where one player gets injured and suddenly you're a completely different side. So if you're Arsenal, midfield has to be priority, but you can't just sit there and get complacent and go, you know what, we've recruited midfielders, that's enough. For me, I want 2 midfielders, I want an attacking backup, and I want a centre-back backup. I'd be happy with that. And potentially a left-back as well if Tierney goes. If Tierney goes, a backup left-back, let's see. Not these, has been from Chelsea. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest. Just saddened by the end of the football season. Jeff, I'm saddened as well, man. Like, the football season has been so brilliant this season. It's been genuinely a top season in the Premier League. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And look, it's one of those things, man. Like I said, I'll be back next season with even better content. Don't you worry about it. And during the summer as well, transfer-related videos, etc. I'll be covering a whole host of news. And there's still matches to go. The Champions League final, FA Cup final, last game of the season, EFL Championship playoff as well. I'll be covering on this channel. So lots of stuff to cover on this channel. By all means, make sure you stay tuned, subscribe if you're new around here. But yes, it is when we are nearing the end of the football season. It's one of those things, man. But I'll be back and better next season, I hope, as well. Hey, mate, sorry I had to do some personal stuff. So that's why I wasn't here at first. What a goal by Encisco, man. That was such an entertaining game. No worries, Luke, whatsoever. I appreciate tuning the stream as always. Yes, what a strike, man. Like, genuinely, for what is, quote-unquote, let's be honest, a friendly game, given that both these sides aren't playing for anything. What a strike, man. Like, the way he hit that. And he scored a similar goal against Chelsea as well. So he's clearly got in his locker, Encisco. And the manager's giving him the green light to shoot from out there. The man's got techers. Like, he licks that. Like, he's got technique on the way he shot that shot. There's certain players when they shoot, right, I can tell they're not built for long shots. Do you know what I mean? Like, they look nervous. They let the ball get away from them. They lean back too much. They're snatching at it. When you look at someone like, for example, Encisco, everything is smooth. His technique is like he practices it every day ever since he's touched the football. It's smooth. Head down, strikes through the ball with power. It's a brilliant shot technique, genuinely. Doesn't look at potentially having any finesse on it. Doesn't look at having any sort of like technical, you know, where he's just like side footing it. It's pure laces and shooting through the football. And his quality, man. What a shot. And they're going to have to mark you from outside the box now because when you build a reputation of being that sort of player, teams going to have to guard you from outside the box. And that creates options because, like I said, being a multifaceted footballer is one of the most important things. De Bruyne is such a brilliant footballer because he's so good at assisting. So you have to mark the players around him. But equally, the reason he does so much damage is because you can't leave him from outside the box because he will score from outside the box. He's that good. So it's like pick your poison with De Bruyne. Do you sag off him and let him shoot from outside the box? Or do you press him and potentially let him give a killer pass to Haaland, Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, etc. And then Cisco needs to build that reputation. He's still a young boy, still a teenager, still many more seasons to come from him. Let's see what he does. But he's already built a reputation as a big-time goal scorer from long shots. And that's really good, man. Really good sign. Are you live streaming the Sassuolo game on Sunday? Probably not. I'll be covering the end of the Premier League season. I'll be attending the Arsenal Wolves game on Sunday, but afterwards I'll be doing a Premier League end of season roundup for the final day. Brighton should have won. But no, I don't think so. I think a draw was a fair result. I think both teams gave them. I thought Brighton had a brilliant game, by the way. It's not easy to play the way they played against Man City. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. But equally, I think Man City had really good chances. Look, Haaland scored, rightfully ruled out, by the way. I think it was a foul. Mitoma equally scored, and he thought it was a rugby, the way he tried to get a try diving on the football. But yeah, I thought both sides had really good chances, and both sides could have won the game. So overall, I think a draw was a fair result, to be honest. Okay, let's make the questions harder. Do you think Arteta is the guy to take Arsenal forward? Yes, I do, 100%. Look, this is the way I see it, right? And I've seen a lot of people say Arteta should be sacked, by the way. And look, I see why people say it, but the thing is, like, Lee Gunner's ahead of it, by the way. He goes, oh, Arteta needs to be sacked. He hasn't brought Arsenal a title. I believe Arsenal bottled the title. I've come out and said this a million times. Anyone says Arsenal didn't bottle the title, they're not holding accountability, they're not holding responsibility. The thing is, right, look, a lot of people, when they talk about football, they don't talk about it from multiple facets. They look at it from one angle. I always look at football from multiple angles, right? Football isn't just case in point black and white. It's not mutually exclusive to say Arsenal bottled the title and Man City are amazing. Both events coexist, and they can exist, and they do exist, in my opinion. Arsenal bottled the league whilst Man City were incredible. Yes, Man City went on a brilliant run, and yes, Man City probably would have won the league regardless, but that doesn't mean to say Arsenal didn't bottle it. If Arsenal had beaten Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Southampton, West Ham, but lost the title in goal difference because they drew to Liverpool and lost to Man City at the Etihad, I would not have come out here and said Arsenal bottled the league. My argument for Arsenal bottled the league is not due to the fact we were top of the table for 240 days. That's regardless for me. Arsenal bottled the league comes down for me because we drew to West Ham and Southampton. Teams that in any other time in the league, if it was October, if it was September, if it was August, we would have beaten those teams. We didn't beat Southampton this season, a team that's finished bottom of the Premier League and got relegated like 5 weeks early. That's not good enough. That is a case in point definition of bottling it. Losing to teams like, for example, Man City away isn't bottling the league because Man City are clearly a better team than us. Drawing to Liverpool Anfield is not bottling it because Liverpool Anfield's a tough assignment. Man City lost there. The reason I say Arsenal bottled is because we lost to teams like Forest. We drew to teams like Southampton, West Ham. You drop points in games you shouldn't do. So for me, that is Arsenal bottling it. Regardless, Arteta's the man to take Arsenal forward because look, if Arsenal finished the season where Newcastle finished in 4th, would people say Arteta needs to get sacked? No, they wouldn't, because they say, oh, he's achieved his target of getting top 4. Now, look, our target at the start of the season was top 4. I still don't think the season was a complete success because targets changed. Like I always say, right, if I'm targeted a B in maths at the start of the year, at the start of the school year, but I get A-star in every single test, every single assessment, every single mock, then I open up my GCSE result at the end of the year and I get a B. Would I be happy or sad? I'd be sad because despite targeting a B at the start of the year, I'll be getting A-stars every single test along the way. That's Arsenal, right? It's a boxer that had won every single round 1 to 11, but then got knocked out in the 12th round and lost the fight. That's kind of what it feels like to be Arsenal. So I can't call it a success, despite the fact that we were brilliant in the season and have taken massive steps of progression. It is a progress, but not necessarily success. But regardless, I think Arteta's the right man. Look, Arteta's clocked things that has been so underrated. He wanted to bring in Mudryk before we even saw Martinelli have a relaxing form. He wanted to bring in Caicedo before we even saw Partey have a dip in form. Look, when Arsenal went for Caicedo, it came out of nowhere. Partey was our best player. Caicedo came in and suddenly Partey, like 2 months later, had a drop-off in form. Do you get what I mean? Look, Arteta wanted to get Lisandro Martinez, right, ahead of Zinchenko. That's case in point. It's a fact. If Lisandro Martinez came in, right, this would have been Arsenal's back four. Martinez, Saliba, Gabriel, and Ben White, right? Sorry, swap Gabriel and Saliba because Gabriel's left centre-back. That would have been Arsenal's back four. That is eerily similar to Man City's back four right now with the 4 centre-backs. Arteta was playing that system before Pep played it. And now Pep's revolutionised football by having Stones come into midfield. What he would have done is had Martinez, Gabriel, Saliba as the back three and Ben White in midfield playing that CDM role, and he would have revolutionised football. So my man Arteta knows football. He does. He just doesn't have the facilities Pep does. Genuinely, Arteta understands football. If he got Martinez over the line, we play a back three with Martinez, Saliba, Gabriel, and Ben White slots into midfield, and he runs this exact system Pep Guardiola's got all his credit for with Stones, but he would have run it first, and potentially we could have gone on to win the league. I'm not saying Zinchenko was a brilliant signing. I agree 100% he was. But it's always as number 2 signing. Arteta wanted Vlahovic, we end up with Gabriel Jesus, the number 2 signing. Do you get what I mean? Arteta's always had to deal with his second choice. So he's look, I'm not saying he's dealing with down tools the likes that other managers dealing with, but I think he's the right man to take Arsenal forward. He's made brilliant progress this season. I love the way he holds himself. I do believe he has the potential to be a world-class manager one day. I love the football style he's playing. But that being said, he does need to improve bit by bit. I 100% agree with that. He's got areas to improve in, but whether I believe he's the man to take Arsenal forward, 100%. I don't see a reason not to agree. So certain people are reactionary. They want instant success. That football's about the glory. I understand it. But look, there's only 4 competitions you can win each season in the Premier League. And Man City might win 3 of them. Meaning you can only win 1 competition every other club. Look, if you want Arsenal to compete with Man City like I do, it's going to take time. You have to understand. Like any football fan, I understand the fans that have the stand. They call it standards by saying we have to challenge for the title every season. Yes, I get it. You want to challenge for the title. We're Arsenal. We're a massive club. But it's a progression, right? I'd be utopian. I'd be unrealistic to say we're going to challenge for the title next season. No one expects Arsenal to challenge for the title this season. No one on this planet. But we made that step to challenge for the title, and suddenly fans expect us to win the title. Look, I would have loved it, and I do think it's a bottle job us not winning the title, and the players need to take full accountability and responsibility. They shouldn't sit there and go, oh, you know what, top 4 is enough, that's what we're aiming for. No, I hate any sort of play that says that. You should be sitting there going, we should have won the title, we bottled it. But at the same time, look at the progress, look at it from the big picture and go, we've got better. Trust the manager. I want to make some proper signings this summer. And I want Arteta to sign his number 1 option. I want Arteta to go, I want Declan Rice, and Arsenal sign Declan Rice. I want Arteta to go, I want Kvara from Napoli. I want Rafael Leao. I want Caicedo, and Arsenal to go, yes, let's get him. Not I want Caicedo, you know what, we'll get you Jorginho, that type of thing. Do you get what I mean? I think Arteta needs to sign the proper top players. But yeah, I appreciate that question. And look, it was a bit of a long-winded answer. But anyone else got any other football questions? Let me know in the live chat. I'll be sure to cover them. What's your favorite book in the background? Yeah, I love self-help books. My favorite one is this one right here, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. What a book, by the way, man. Genuinely a top book. I'd recommend anyone to read that. Brilliant book. Congratulations to Inter who won the Coppa Italia tonight. Congratulations to Inter. I saw they won it last season as well. So back-to-back for them. Inter Milan 2-1 Fiorentina. Martinez double for Inter. Was this game good? I didn't watch it, to be honest. Lautaro Martinez, look, he's turned up big time. Won the World Cup with Argentina. Scoring some big goals. Scored. Bro, this man's turning up for Inter Milan as well. He'd be a really good striker, potentially. Big up, Jordan. Appreciate your stream as always. Hope you're doing well, my friend. How did your exams go, bro? Oh, man, I finished them 2 weeks ago. Look decent, to be fair. Some hard ones. They're all hard, man, to be fair. When you get to university, all exams are hard, but overall good, man. Overall good. Yep, it was a lot of action from start to finish. Well, there we go, man. Should have been a good game. Did Lukaku score? Haaland's scored to make it 2-1, but got ruled off for a foul on Haaland. Yes, you're right, Luke. And for me, it was a foul because he pulled at the shirt Colwell. And look, Colwell was smart because he did sell the contact a little bit. But the scary thing is, right, if there wasn't VAR, they would have given that as a goal. So back in the day, you would have gotten away with that, just tugging someone's shirt, like literally pulling his shirt off him. So yeah, it was rightly ruled out, by the way. Congrats to Inter Milan for winning the Coppa Italia. Congrats to them. Sounds like a good game. No, Lukaku didn't score. Martinez scored a double. Well, let's see what Inter Milan do in the Champions League final, by the way. Really interested to see what happens in that match. We've got a comment coming through as well. I'm not, bro. This is the thing. StreamYard botches any sort of emoji comment. So I'm seeing it on my screen right now. It's like a trophy. I appreciate joining the stream, Abdul Ralph. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here, my friend. Brighton had plenty of opportunities. Yes, look, that's the thing, Monsieur Arteta, right? Brighton really played football today really well. Like, they took the game to Man City. Welbeck hit the bar. Mitoma had really good chances. Ferguson had a good chance, etc. Of course, they scored a brilliant goal from Encisco as well. This was a game where Brighton could have genuinely won that football match. And the thing about Man City, and the reason I've given them so much credit, is, especially since Nottingham Forest game, the back end of the season, right? It's not just that they're winning games. It's not just that they're playing brilliant football, right? I haven't seen a weakness in Man City. Man City have played games against Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal. And not only have they won that football match, which would have been a good enough result, they made the other teams look inept. They made them look tactically inept. They made them look like they can't play football. After finishing the Real Madrid game, I sat there and went, bloody hell, Modric should retire. Benzema should retire. Kroos should retire. That's how Man City made them look. They're ruthless in that sense. They demolish teams. They have no respect. They have no sort of complacency. Like, they're assassins in that. They've got winning mentality, that cold-blooded killer trait that any top club has, any Pep Guardiola club seems to have. So the fact that Brighton had opportunities was a really positive sign. Like, it actually became a good match. And I've grown accustomed in recent weeks to whenever it's Man City versus a team, for the first 20 minutes it's competitive. And as soon as Man City get that first goal, the floodgates open, the other team's waters burst, and it ends up being a case of how many goals are Man City going to win by. But today it was a really good game. Like, it was competitive from start to finish. And for a game that there wasn't much riding on the line, given that both teams' seasons are done in many respects in terms of the Premier League. Man City won the title. Brighton have secured Europe. Congratulations to that, to both those teams for doing exactly what they aimed to do at the start of the season. Man City's still got the cup finals to fight for, right? So this Premier League games are just counting down these games. They got Brentford on the weekend as well. They're just going to count that one down, then get into the FA Cup final and Champions League final. 2 massive games for that football club. So the fact that there wasn't much at stake, the fact that it was still a brilliant game regardless, so good, man. So good. I can't wait to see those games next season. Encisco scored a worldie. Oh, what a goal, man. The knock on that strike was unbelievable. To make it 1-1, and Welbeck hit the crossbar on the free kick at the 20th minute. Lukaku came off the bench, made a great impact. He should start against Man City, in my opinion. Well, here's the thing, right? It's food for thought. It's food for thought for Inzaghi. Who does he play, man? I think for me, you got to play Edin Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez. Lukaku has enough game time, but he knows more than me. He watches more. He obviously, I don't watch enough Italian football to know. Thoughts on Inter's chances. Look, to be honest, Monsieur Arteta, I've covered this before, but I'll cover it again because I appreciate a lot of new people in this chat. How I believe the Champions League final is going to go, I think Man City will win it. But How Inter win that game is they got to have a dose of a 5-step formula, in my opinion. One, you got to defend well. You can't have any hope of getting anything against Man City if you don't defend well. Case in point, defense has got to be priority. Defend, defend, defend. Number 2, you can't make any silly mistakes. When you're playing Man City, right, they'll punish you. They're ruthless in that respect. So you got to cut out all silly mistakes. It's easier said than done, but cut it out. If you have to lock the ball at the pitch, so be it. Third, you got to have some kind of threat on the counter-attack. Too many teams play Man City and they defend too deep. The walls cave in on them. Man City are so dangerous when they're ruthless, when the pressure mounts and it's just wave after wave after attack. That's when they're at most dangerous, because then it's just relentless and you cave in because of all the pressure. So if you have Man City, you got to have some kind of outball. You got to have some kind of threat on the counter-attack. Even if it's not a case of scoring, just a sense of maybe giving yourself a breathing space at the back, giving Man City time to second guess themselves and go, hang on a minute, we can't push as many bodies forward because they've got this threat on the counter-attack. So if you're Denzel Dumfries, if you're Barella, if you're Lautaro Martinez, if you're Edin Dzeko, if you're Henrik Mkhitaryan, you've got to provide some kind of threat on the counter-attack. You've got to give Man City a reason to question and fear you in the attacking sense, because if you don't provide any sort of threat on the counter-attack, it's going to become one-way traffic the whole game. Now, I don't care what team you are. You're going to crumble against Man City for 90 minutes. I've not seen a single team that can withhold Man City pressure for 90 minutes. So if you're Inter, you've got to have a threat on the counter-attack. Number 4, you got to take your chances. You have to, because they're going to make it few and far in between against Man City. You're not going to be there with plenty of chances, so you got to take them when they come. And the 5th one, and genuinely, if you get the first 4 right, even then you might not win the game, because the 5th one is you got to have some luck. You got to have some luck along the way. And when I mean luck is, you got to hope Man City don't put a 10 out of 10 performance, because genuinely this is the case, and this is the scariest thing. Inter Milan could put a 10 out of 10 performance in that Champions League final. Genuinely, a top-tier performance. But if Man City put a 10 out of 10 performance as well, Man City will win the Champions League. If Inter Milan put a 10 out of 10 performance and Man City put an 8 out of 10 performance in, Man City will probably win the Champions League. So you could nail your performance 100%. You could put in a 10 out of 10 best performance of your lives. But equally, step 5 is you got to have some luck and you got to hope Man City aren't at their best. And if all that goes their way, they've got a chance. Look, it's a Champions League final. You don't fluke your way to a Champions League final. They're there for a reason. Many people are expecting Man City to win it. Use that to your advantage. As they always say in life, yeah, when too many people expect one thing, the opposite tends to happen. It's just nature. So everyone's expecting Man City to win, myself included. But if you're Inter Milan, there's a route to success there. There's a route to success for sure. But you got to make sure you are flawless. Like, you got to put in the performance of your lives, man. Absolutely put the performance in your lives in Istanbul. And Istanbul's a place of it's a place of dreams, a place of the impossible. We saw Liverpool come back from 3-0 down against their rivals AC Milan and win the Champions League. So the impossible can happen at Istanbul. Let's see. Fair play to Brighton. What a season, agree. Do you consider them rivals, Luke? It's a strange one for me. There's the thing with Brighton, right? I 100% agree. They've had a brilliant season and I love the style they're playing football. They got to retain their assets. De Zerbi 100% has to be stayed. He is their number 1 asset, their manager, De Zerbi, because a lot of top clubs will be sniffing around for his signature. That man, I said it before on stream, he could walk into any Premier League club, genuinely, and he would cook. Because his style of play is genuinely, it fits any team. He plays football like big clubs play football. Do you get what I mean? Like, he's not afraid to take on teams toe-to-toe. He doesn't sit there and go, you know what, it's Man City, let's sit back, let's defend deep, let's try and hit them on the counter-attack. And he would have been well in his right to do so, by the way. Any club's got the right to sit a low block against Man City, because they'll just concede that Man City the better footballing team. Not De Zerbi. He's got cojones. He plays 18, 19-year-olds against Man City. Buonanotte on the pitch. 18-year-olds. I'd be shivering at playing against Man City, playing against their sort of pressure. No, not afraid whatsoever. Encisco, teenager, scores a worldie against Man City. That's not a man that's scared on the biggest stage. So De Zerbi, everything's brilliant about him. They've got a young squad they're building. They can keep some of their top players. I have no reason to suggest they can't fight for Champions League next season. We start doing prediction game preview videos. Monsieur Arteta, that is in the works. I've got some plans coming up, especially for next season. I'm going to do member-only previews, etc., member-only streams. Also do some Premier League predictions at the start of each match week. It's all in the pipeline, not to worry. A lot of bigger and better things coming on this channel. I appreciate all the support this season, by the way. Anyone new around here as well, by the way, subscribe for football-related content. A lot of people in the live chat, and a lot of people that joined the journey this season on my channel. Even better next season, I hope, man. My aim is to get 2,000 subscribers before the season ends. I'm very close to doing so. And then next season, we are cooking, man, on this channel. Absolutely cooking. Yeah, it's not just Arteta, it's the board and the owners. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? The board and the owners thing is, right, is a massive part of football, the board and the owners. But also, I think the board and the owners can be slightly overhyped. Like, for example, Man United fans want the Glazers out. And I agree that the Glazers should go, especially for the Super League fiasco. But don't tell me the Glazers don't back Eric Ten Hag, right? They signed Anthony for 90 million, Casemiro for 60 million. Like, they give them money. They just spend the money badly. Kroenke, look, everyone was saying Kroenke out for the past, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. Suddenly, Arsenal fight for the title. Yeah, I haven't had Kroenke out all season. So the owners are just something to stick the blame on. They're like the scapegoat. The manager and the owners become the scapegoat when there's bad performances. That's what it is. The owner doesn't kick the football. The owner doesn't make signings. The owner just supplies the money. unless the owner's seriously not supplying any cash, which rarely happens in football, to be completely honest. A lot of teams supply cash. Just whether it's enough cash is another question, but not every owner is going to be like Todd Bowley and just give their team 600 million to spend. That's not the norm. That's being out of this world, like what's it called? Greedy in terms of your cash, like with no brain, just splashing the cash for the sake of it. So not every owner is going to be like that. But genuinely, I think owners are like overhyped in terms of their impact. I don't think it's all that. I think the chairman, the manager, and the players and the fan, they are the real cohesive unit that needs to be pushing in the same direction. We're into getting in confidence, probably a 25% chance. I give it lower. I think they've got a 9% chance to win the Champions League final. But let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Anyone else watching? He's from something. I know he's from Cardiff. Good question. I consider Brighton as rival to us, but I love what football Brighton is playing this year. They are so fun to watch. 100%, man. Brilliant team. Yeah, I don't know why Brighton and Palace are rivals. Like, they're not anywhere near each other. Like, Palace is in London and Brighton's in Brighton. So, yeah, it is crazy, man. You kind of look like Ilkay Gundogan. Well, I'm Turkish, and Gundogan's Turkish as well. So, I guess that's where the links come. What's it called? Florida Panthers are up 3-0 in the conference finals. Game 4 is tonight. And if Florida wins, they're going to NHL finals. Good luck to Florida Panthers, man. I don't keep up with hockey, really. But best of luck to them. So technically, tomorrow's game, there's something on it. United need a point. Yes, Tommy. Look, United will make top 4, in my opinion. They've got 2 games left and 2 home games as well. I think their away forms really deserted them for the majority of the season. It's kind of ironic, right, that last week when United have had terrible away form, Liverpool had brilliant home form, that a United away game and a Liverpool home game cost Liverpool and saved United. Well, not necessarily saved United, but propelled United into the top 4. So if United even get a point in their next 2 games, they guarantee Champions League football next season. And what a season it would be by Erik ten Hag, man. Carabao Cup winners, FA Cup finalists, potentially winning that. Champions League football was won his first season. Brilliant first season for Erik ten Hag. A point secure top 4. Exactly. Prediction for Arsenal's game at home. We'll win. But this is the case for Arsenal. When there's nothing on the line anymore, we'll win. Look, last season, right, we couldn't get a win for our life. We lost to Tottenham. We lost to Newcastle. Suddenly we play Everton at home. We win 5-1. And we look like the best football team on the planet. It's Arsenal case in point, right? The season's over. We'll win that game 100%, bro. We'll beat Wolves. It's a case for Wolves on the beach anyway. It doesn't matter to me. Like, going to that game will be sad, bro. Because it's a case of what could have been, man. Like, going to that Wolves game, I'll be getting on the tube, getting off the tube, walking into the stadium thinking, on another day, I'd be watching my team lift the trophy. You know what I mean? Like, if the last 4 weeks had a different alternative in an alternating reality, I'm watching Arsenal lift the trophy. But that's football, man. That's football. Arsenal win 3-1, but go 1-0 down at the 5th minute. Very precise, what's it called, prediction, Luke. No pressure to expect a routine win. Exactly. No pressure FC. That's Arsenal in a nutshell. Luke, do you support Millwall? Absolutely not, man. He supports Palace. Can you not see his logo? No, I like Palace. Arteta. Okay. What's it like, London clubs? Are all other London clubs rivals? This is the thing, right? I see my biggest rival for Arsenal, obviously, is Tottenham. I see Man United as a big rivalry for Arsenal as well. Chelsea equally. I don't see us having a rivalry with Fulham, Brentford, Palace. I see them as tough games, but I don't see it as a London derby. Obviously, it is a London derby, but I just see it as another Premier League game. It's only really Chelsea and Tottenham in London where I've got a genuine like animosity towards. Even West Ham, I don't really see it. Obviously, it's a London derby. I don't really see them any animosity towards those clubs. It's like business trips for those games, right? Just come in, deal with business, and get out. There's no like actual emotion attached to the game. I just know I'm not being rude or anything. Sorry if I said it in a mean way, but I didn't. What's it called? The Coppa Italia was a good game. It was nothing like the slow Milan derby. This is the thing. Italian football for me is just too slow at times, man. Genuinely too slow. Like the AC Milan Inter Milan was a stinky Champions League semi-final. Can we agree with that, right? And partly also because AC Milan were really crap. Like how AC Milan made the Champions League semi-final is beyond me because they were not good one bit. But Inter Milan also, like the quality of the game, it was slow. But that might suit them against Man City. You never know because Man City like quick-paced football. Like when Arsenal went to Anfield and they tried to do the same thing at Etihad, but it didn't really work. They tried to take the sting out of everything. Every time Man City had the shot, they go down injured. They slow the game down. Because if it's a fast-paced game, that suits Man City. Man City want the ball in play at all times. They want the game moving quickly. They want to make their passes quick. They want to move quick. Everything needs to be quick. Double time for Man City. 2 times speed. For Inter Milan, they want a slow game. They want a waltz. You know what I mean? Like a 0.75x speed. Just slow the game down. Take the sting out of it. Put it in the dark arts. Tactical fouls. Go down with tactical injuries. That sort of thing. So it might suit them. Look, if it was a 2-legged tie, I'd back Man City because it's regression to the mean, right? It's like if I was 1v1ing LeBron James in a basketball match, I'd 1v1 him to 1 point because or 2 points if we're playing 2s and 3s, right? Because then I just have to hit a fluky shot and I win. If I 1v1 LeBron James to 23 points, he's gonna win. If I 1v1 LeBron James to 100 points, he's gonna win because the odds of me scoring 100 points first before LeBron is hard. It's the same with Champions League, right? If you play over 2 legs, Man City will win because over the 2 legs, you expect their quality to pull through. In a final, anything can happen. It's one-off game in a neutral ground. Man City could have a terrible off day and you could have a brilliant day. So anything can happen. Like I said, if you're betting, if you're that way inclined, I give it a 90% chance Man City going to win the game. But percentages are there for a reason. Nothing is concrete in football. Football isn't played on paper. Football isn't played on form. Football is played on the pitch. So anything can happen, man. Yeah, that Milan derby was boring as crap. I literally almost fell asleep watching that game. Genuinely, man. Genuinely so bad. Like, it paled in comparison to the other game. Like, the Real Madrid Man City game at the Bernabeu was top quality. Like, for me, that was a brilliant football game. That epitomized everything I want to see from a Champions League match. At the Etihad, it was a bad game. But it wasn't a bad game because of Man City. It was a bad game just because Real Madrid couldn't compete with Man City. Like, Man City were that good. Let's see what happens in the final, man. I expect it to be one-way traffic. I expect Man City to cook. But if Inter Milan get a goal early, it could become attack versus defense, but it could become a really, really nervous game for Man City in that sense. So let's see. Frustrate is the name of the game for Inter Milan. Frustrate. Take your chance on the counter-attack, man. Do you think Manchester City would have dropped points tonight if they had to win? Nah, I don't think they would have. Look, Man City got a point today, and it was a really evenly contested match, and they were missing Ruben Diaz, for me, their best defender, alongside John Stones. Well, John Stones played today, but Ake they were missing. I know he's been injured for a while now. They're missing... what's his face? Akanji, who's been a brilliant signing. 15 million, what top signing? Laporte. So 4 of their top centre backs they were missing. Their back 4 was Stones, Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva, and Rico Lewis. I'm not being funny. If Arsenal were missing their starting back 4, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, and let's say Ben White, yeah, Arsenal would lose that game comfortably. You're looking at Kivior, Rob Holding, Tomiyasu, and Tierney as our back 4. Like, it's gonna get ripped to shreds. Let's be real about it. Man City had a makeshift back 4 and they still did all right. So, look, if they had to win the game, Man City are flawless in that respect. Man City, in pressure circumstances, go up a gear, whereas Arsenal in pressure circumstances go down a gear. That's the difference. Like, when pressure mounts, pressure isn't found on the beach. Pressure is a privilege. When pressure mounts, that's when you get the real side of people, right? Like I said, right, when I'm in my garden, no one's watching me, I could probably do 100 kick-ups. But when I've got the whole crowd watching me, when I've got money on the line, say I have to do 15 kick-ups to get paid £20, for example. Those 15 kick-ups are going to feel like 100. It's going to be slow. I'm going to be sitting there going, oh my God, like every single touch, it's going to be heavy on my boots. Do you know what I mean? So pressure can play a massive part in your game. And it comes with practice. It's also inherent. Some players just know how to deal with pressure. They're clutch in that sense. Arsenal players lack it. But look, it's a learning experience. We missed out on top 4 last season. We learned from it, hopefully. Missed out on the title this season. We're learning from it. Bit by bit, learn. Man City have been in this position year in, year out. They've taken Liverpool to the climax. Like, I'm talking push them gear for gear, like all the way, punch for punch. I'm talking, it's been a bruising battle of Liverpool for 5 seasons in a row now. They know how to do it, man. It's their bread and butter. They're built for these situations. For them, it's like another business trip. It's just another day at the office. For Arsenal, it's like an investor's come in and you need them to invest in your company for $1 billion. That's what it's like for Arsenal. Like, started shivering. They're not used to these occasions. Whereas Man City was just like a business trip for them. It was any other day at the office. So look, it's a learning curve. I think not. It's crazy. Leicester was a champions in 2016 and now on the brink of relegation. Luke, that's absolutely crazy. I couldn't fathom that Leicester potentially could get relegated at the start of the season. They won the FA Cup as well not too long ago. But also the thing is, right, like I say, man, Leicester got complacent. You can't get complacent in the Premier League. You can't think you're good enough to stay. Look at Chelsea, man. Look how much money they spent. If they didn't have too short to start the season, Chelsea genuinely could have got relegated. Genuinely. I'm not buying into this fact that they were too big to get relegated. If they started the season with Graham Potter and then switched to Frank Lampard, Chelsea would have got relegated. Genuinely, I believe it, man. Because they have been crap. The performance have been crap. They can't score goals. They can't defend, etc. And this is the same with Leicester City, right? They lost arguably their best player, Kasper Schmeichel. They didn't replace him. They signed Danny Wood and Everson, 2 below-par goalkeepers. They didn't sign any outfield players. Vardy's aging. Tielemans clearly wants to leave. Maddison clearly wants to leave. They didn't sign any outfield players, so they just got worse overall. So you're sitting there thinking, if you're not getting better in football, you're getting worse. That's how it works, man. You can't move forwards in football. Sorry, if you're not moving forwards in football, you're moving backwards because other teams are getting better. It's not like Forest Fulham came out to Premier League and said, you know what, we're coming up. Let's play our same styles of Championship and let's hope to survive. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Nottingham Forest came up and look how much money they spent. Nearly 150, 200 million. They bought so many players. Keylor Navas, by the way, like a top goalkeeper. Fulham came out, bought in Willian, bought in Bern Leno, top players. João Paulinho. Like, these are teams that have come up and they clearly tried to improve their squad. They've come up to the Premier League and they've wanted to get better. They've wanted to stay in the Premier League. They've not just thought about survival, they've thought about their future. Leicester probably thought, you know what, if we don't sign players, if we treat this as like a season to save money, to budget, we'll be all right, man. But no, it's a harsh reality. It's a harsh truth in football because I think even the most pessimistic of Leicester fans, Leicester board, Leicester managers, Leicester players would have thought, you know, even if we have a bad season, we'll probably finish like 10th, 11th, 12th. No one would have expected relegation, but they're one game from doing so. Like I said, the scariest thing is they could win against West Ham on the weekend and still get relegated. So if you're Leicester City, it's a wake-up call. They could survive, and if they do survive, I think they're going to spend a lot of money in the summer. If they don't survive, so be it, man. They deserve it, in my opinion. Sorry to Leicester fans, but they deserve it. Because if you don't improve in football, if you get too complacent, it's the biggest killer. Look, you can talk about all the teams around you, but your biggest killer is yourself. Your biggest enemy is yourself, right? And I think that's the case with Leicester City this season. So yeah, it's crazy. I couldn't fathom the fact they were going to get relegated at the start of the season, but it's looking more and more likely alongside Leeds United. Yeah, I think they're going down. I agree, man. Leeds, Leicester, and Southampton are going down for me. They really should have got top 4 in 2 seasons and blew it. Maybe that was the beginning of the end. Yeah, look, that's the thing, right? If you don't have a refresh, inevitably it's going to end. Dynasties always end, man. Nothing's going to last forever. Jamie Vardy, brilliant servant to Leicester, won in the Premier League in 2016. You can't keep relying on the man. Like, they tried to move on with Kelechi and Nacho, not the right signing. Patson Daka, not the right signing. While they had their name, they should have used that time to spend money and spend wisely. While Leicester were an attractive proposition, they should have improved their squad, but no. They sold Mahrez, never replaced him. They sold Kante, never replaced him. They've kept Vardy, still haven't replaced him because he's too old now. James Maddison clearly wanted to go. Tielemans clearly wanted to go. Where was your get-out clause? Where was getting rid of the players that were just becoming deadwoods, becoming toxic players around the football club? Not at all. So if you're Leicester City, right, they've got it horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Let's see what happens, man. If you were to pick a free-fold Aka, who would you pick for this weekend? I don't bet. I don't gamble. But to be real, I think Arsenal will win. I think Everton will win. To be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if all the relegated teams if it wins, all the teams fight relegation. If Everton, Leeds, and Leicester win, I wouldn't even be surprised if all 3 of them win genuinely on the final day. Who knows if it happens, man? Who knows? Phil, appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here, my friend. Spend while you're on the top. 100%, Phil. 100%, bro. That's the time to spend. Like Arsenal this season, right? Done brilliantly. Got Champions League football. That's not our time to take our foot off the gas. That's the time to spend money. Same with Leicester. Leicester got to a point where they were attractive proposition. They could have signed a lot of top players. Not obviously the creme de la creme players, but they wouldn't have had the money to sign those players anyway. But I'm talking really good quality players. They could have signed these top players, but they didn't. They didn't. And look, this is what happens, man. Now who wants to go to Leicester? Especially, even if they survive in the Premier League, no one wants to go to Leicester. And God forbid they go to the Championship. People want to sign for them then. They're going to end up selling Maddison on a cut fee. Tielemans going to go on a cut discount. And they're going to have to rebuild again. That's football, man. Zane, appreciate you joining. Make sure you subscribe for new hands, my friends. I didn't like the way Pep was hugging McAllister at the end. Hope we sign him. Yeah, he's going to Liverpool. Don't you worry about that, Zane. I'm sure McAllister will go to Liverpool. Pep just likes to do that. Look, Pep's a bit of like what's it called? Merchant. A camera merchant, a interview merchant. He likes to know things on the camera. He likes saying the right things. Oh, De Zerbi he's a Michelin-style chef manager. Like, he says all these things, hugs all these players. Trust me, McAllister's going to end up at Liverpool. It'll be a brilliant signing for Liverpool as well. I think he's going to be a top player. Liverpool needs to address that midfield. It's not rocket science. It's clear and obvious. It's clear as day. That midfield needs to be sorted. And look, McAllister won't be enough, but I think he's a step there. He's a really good box-to-box player. I think he'll be a top player for Liverpool. And if you're Brighton, look, you lose McAllister, so be it. And Cisco's coming through the ranks. Buonanotte as well. Top players in there. Billy Gilmore could be a top player for you. I expect them to make some good signings as well in the summer alongside James Milner, João Pedro, Dahoud as well coming in. So if you're Liverpool, if you're Brighton, you lose McAllister, so be it. If you're McAllister, gets a top move to a top club in Liverpool, and they'll really, really use him. But if you're Liverpool as well, that's not enough. I'm looking at João Paulinho. I'm looking at Caicedo. I'm looking at Mateus Nunes from Wolves. These type of Ugarte from Sporting Lisbon. These type of top tier midfielders you need to bring in, especially at CDM, because Fabinho's past it, right? You can't keep staying loyal to these players. The way I look at it is, right, if you want to compete with Man City, you can't be giving these players any more time in the team, man. They're proven they've had a fall off. Replace, man. You got to be ruthless in football sometimes. 30 views and not many likes. People need to smash likes like Brighton smashed the ball this evening. 100% agree, man. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Going to start to wrap up the stream shortly because I've been streaming for the last hour or so. 5 likes, my guy. Call out those that have disappointed the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Now, I appreciate everyone tuning in, man. I appreciate everyone tuning as always. Make sure you like if you're new and subscribe, importantly, on my road to 2,000 subscribers. But yeah, overall in this game, right? If you're Brighton, if you're Man City, I love this contest. I thought it was a really good game overall between the two sides. Two teams that obviously have had a brilliant season, each in a different respect. Man City on the course in the treble, won the Premier League for the 3rd season in a row, and Brighton secured Europe for the first time in their history. So congratulations to them. I think he's given the City always a hint to get De Zerbi after he leaves. Oh yes, Phil, I said this earlier in the stream. De Zerbi could walk into any club in England. Genuinely, he could manage any club in England because what he's doing at Brighton is not a fluke. He is that good. Like, genuinely, he's top tier manager, man. The way he plays football, man, is delicious. That's how I describe it. Well, I always say, right, the top clubs like Man City could play Real Madrid, could play Brighton, could play Brentford. They could play Fulham. They don't change their style. They play the same way. They play possession style. They play to hurt the opponent.
Other clubs, for example, they adapt their system to whatever team they're playing. But for me, that's a sign of a weaker club. Brighton don't do that. Brighton went to the Emirates and they played Arsenal football for football and they won 3-0. They played them out the park. And I love seeing that in the manager. So if you're De Zerbi, he could go into any job. Genuinely, I love the guy to bits. I think he's a top manager, man. De Zerbi lives in the apartment block I live in, top floor. He's a nice guy. Really? Are you capping or is that genuine? I'm calling cap on that one. But yeah, I'm going to start to wrap up the stream now. I appreciate everyone joining the stream. There's always 22 people watching right now. Make sure you subscribe if you're new on here. Anyone that's just joined in, first of all, make sure you subscribe because my next stream will be tomorrow for Manchester United versus Chelsea, another big game with Man United getting a point, securing in Champions League football. Make sure you scroll right back to the start of the stream if you want to hear all about my thoughts on Brighton versus Man City finishing 1-1. I appreciate everyone's contribution on the live stream throughout. He's a nice guy, always has time for people, but I'm calling cap on this one, man. I'm calling cap. DM me a picture of you and him next time you see him and get a selfie on my Instagram, and I'll believe it, man. And I'll believe it. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Next stream tomorrow for Man United versus Chelsea. Those of you that are new around here cover all sorts of football content on this channel, man. Those of you who have been in before know the consistency runs through this channel. Football reactions basically after every single game. Cool, new subscriber, bye. Appreciate you subscribing, Phil. Anyone else that's subscribed, I appreciate it. On my road to 2,000 subscribers. So yeah, football-related content, day in, day out. Every time there's a game, I'm reacting to it on this channel. Love hearing you lot's thoughts in the live chat as well. Also be streaming on the weekend, a double stream. First on Saturday for the EFL Championship playoff final between Luton and Coventry. One of those two teams are making the Premier League, man. I can't believe it. And on Sunday as well, a wrap-up stream for the end of the Premier League season. And of course, I'll be streaming for the Europa League final, the FA Cup final, the Europa Conference League final, and the Champions League final. So still a few more So still a few more matches for the end of the season. And then throughout the summer, transfer news will be covered on this channel. And then leading into next season where it's bigger and better things on this channel, man. Even more streams. I wouldn't expose him like that. He's retiring it for the moment. He's renting it for the moment. Shall I ask him to sub to your channel? Bro, if you see him, tell him to subscribe, man. Tell him why football needs De Zerbi on. I'll get an interview with De Zerbi and pick his football brains. But yeah, I'm calling cap on it regardless of that one, Arteta. But yeah, I appreciate everyone joining. As always, make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. And if you're new around here as well, make sure you like the video. And if you're watching this now, Stop Becoming a Stream is now a video. And let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the match, on Brighton, on Man City overall, and if you believe Man City are going to the treble. I appreciate joining the stream, Luca. I'm just wrapping it up now, but I appreciate joining as always. Hope you're doing well, my friends. But yeah, I've been Wifey. I hope to see you all in my next one. Take care.